Alors, rebonjour à tous et bonjour à ceux qui nous suivent en live pour cette keynote de fin. Donc, keynote de fin de cette Agile Day 2022. Déjà, je vais en profiter pour vous remercier toutes et tous pour votre participation, pour les nombreux REX, les nombreux ateliers que l'on a pu faire ensemble. Alors, je ne sais pas vous, mais moi, personnellement, j'ai passé un très bon moment avec vous. C'est un événement qu'on prépare avec toute l'équipe depuis aujourd'hui plusieurs mois, avec la guilde d'agilité. Voilà, on est vraiment très fiers d'avoir pu tous vous compter avec nous aujourd'hui. Voilà. Merci beaucoup. On va accueillir pour la keynote de fin Inbar Oren et Eric. Voilà, en mode interview croisée pour aller un petit peu plus loin sur la suite de nos transformations et la suite également autour de Safe. Merci à vous deux.
Okay, we're still looking for the slides, but anyway, first I want to thank you, Oren, Inbar Oren, for coming, reaching us today. It was really interesting, a lot of discussions. I will just start with asking you a few questions, and oh yeah, go ahead. What could we expect from the next versions of SAFe?
So I can't tell you exactly, because I don't know that I'll be allowed back after this. But I think some of the questions that you're asking here is about this. So I think, and we talked about it in the other room, if before a lot of the focus was on how do we get started, I think now a lot of the focus is on what happens next. How do we continue what happens after we launch a transformation? So some of the things that you can expect to see is more focus around more advanced topics. I talked earlier about measure and grow. I talked about competency, output, and flow. So one thing that we're going to double down on in the next version of SAFe is flow. Being more concrete. How do you? I'm a Scrum Master. How do I achieve flow for my team? How do I take the concept of flow and what do I actually need to do? What does that mean for me? Okay, I'm a release train engineer. What do I need to do? I'm the APMO. What do I need to do? I'm a solution train engineer. What do I need to do? And it's the principles are of course the same, but the practices are different. So really helping somebody be successful at every level is one important topic for us. The second one that we're doubling down on is, and we talked about it over lunch, a lot of Scrum Masters are focusing on the technicalities of Scrum. How do I run a retrospective? We want to elevate that to a more, I'm coaching the team, and so I need to focus on flow. I need to focus on getting a better team. Maybe the right thing for me to do right now is stop doing Scrum and move to Kanban, or stop doing Kanban, move to Scrum, or combine them or find something different. Sure. Again, the goal isn't Scrum or Kanban. It's how do you do, so really how do we elevate that team coach position? That's going to be another important part for us. And then AI, big data, and cloud. How do you include, we just released, and you can read them already on the website, we just released 2 articles around AI and big data. How does big data fit into the event, into SAFe? We see a lot of companies struggling with this. They're starting transformation, they know what they're doing, but as they're growing, they're struggling on how to fit data teams and AI team into the transformation. That's probably a third. And then maybe the fourth one is beyond IT. So we're seeing more and more people do Agile and SAFe in marketing, in finance, in procurement, in HR. We just released some case studies from customers talking about success that they've had in that field. So that's probably the other next one that we're diving into. And usually people don't start there, so that's why I would agree that it's still here. But that's another one that's really important for us. So expect to see more on all of these in the next version of SAFe.
Okay, great. This is something that we came up with during the whole day, I would say, but in your experience, what would be the most important failures when implementing SAFe?
So again, for me, the first one is thinking that the SAFe is the point. That's the first failure point, because if you're focusing on, am I doing SAFe, you're probably missing the point. Because you probably are not measuring the right outcomes and are we actually achieving the results we want. So in a lot of places where they were just focused on how do I implement SAFe by the book, I've seen a lot of failure because, again, they were not focusing on how do we get the outcomes that we want out of SAFe. The second most common problem that I see is it's really this one. It's they train everybody in SAFe, and then we're done. We're done. Let's go home. We're already agile. But we're not really. Yes, we're doing Scrum. Yes, we're doing PI planning. But we're not actually, we haven't changed our culture. We haven't changed who we are as a company. And so what tends to happen is a year later, practices start sliding back. 2 years later, you can't find anything there because there was one leader there at the top who decided that we're going to do SAFe. He made everybody take training, set everybody working, and then declared victory and left. But nobody actually cared. So unless you get to a point where people actually care about the change, again, not about SAFe, about the change, and are changing their behavior and their culture, it's just going to slide back. So I think those are the probably two biggest failure patterns that I see. Taking SAFe as the point and not declaring victory too soon, not focusing on really making sure that you've made agile and lean part of your culture.
Make a constant improvement.
Absolutely.
And, okay. Another question, quite different this time. If you were to change or evolve one principle, what would it be amongst 10 principles?
Ooh, I'm going to get into trouble for that one for sure. You're not recording anything here. So we have one principle that's just really long, principle number 6. There's a chance that it's going to get shortened down to be a little more coherent. So right now it's about managing queues and limiting WIP, and there's a lot of stuff in it. And think about something a lot simpler, like allowing flow, making flow uninterrupted. So that's I think one thing. The other thing that I thought needed to change, and we changed it with 5.0, was that we added principle number 10, which is organized around value. I think that was missing there for a long time. It was in other places, but it wasn't a principle. So I think the fact that it was elevated to a principle made a huge difference in my mind. So I don't have any changes I would make other than that, because if I did, we'd probably make them.
That's correct. Okay. One other question about well, there's plenty of features or practices in SAFe.
Yes.
Is there one specific feature that nobody does or is barely implemented, like the killer feature that really misses the point?
Well, something that people don't do that's really important. It's easy to focus on PI planning because PI planning is really an important feature in SAFe, but something that but a lot of people do PI planning, something that people don't do. I would say it's hard. It would be probably one of three things: either the IP duration. A lot of people skip the IP duration. That doesn't give people the slack to actually deliver predictably. It's either that or people not focusing on actually doing things like it's so hard thinking of specific practice. IP duration is people skip it. Assigning business value in PI planning, people skip that one. And again, not that I have a problem with that specifically, but remember we talked about KPIs and closing the loops and connecting people to the business strategy. The fact that we don't have the business value means we're not connected to what we're actually trying to deliver. So I think that's one that a lot of people tend to skip. It's like the feature, so we just skip that one. And participatory budgeting, we talked about that just in the other room. It's really hard, but getting people to come together and think through that, and really think through what are the things we need to fund and what are the things we shouldn't be funding. And that means limiting the amount of work that we're actually doing on the portfolio. Yeah, you know what? If I had to choose one, it's really hard because you're pushing me. If we had to choose really one, it's limiting WIP. People are not limiting WIP enough at any level of the framework. Team, program, and portfolio. If I had to choose one that you are not doing enough and it's a killer feature, it's limiting WIP. Visualizing and limiting WIP. That by itself would give people so much, even if they did nothing else.
It might seem unnatural for some people, but yeah.
It is.
Okay.
Because when you're visualizing things, it shows the problems, and people don't want to show the problems. So.
Okay, another one. We know there are a lot of safe detractors around the world. Yeah. What would you say to them to make them not believe, but argue with the real value of implementing safe?
So let me tell you how I got to safe, to working in SAI. I read somebody's blog post. It was a harsh blog post saying bad things about safe. And it was clear to me reading that blog post that that person had no idea what safe was all about. So I wrote a very lengthy response. But before I hit post, I put it in an email, sent it to Dean and said, what do you think? And Dean said, we don't engage. That's not our way. We don't go and tell people, oh, you're a detractor, I'm going to show you why you're wrong. That's not what we do. If you want to do something for safe, go do something good. So go help another company transform, do a case study, show the results. Don't engage with people who are naysayers. That's not our point. So I thought, okay, what can I do that's good? I'm already doing some implementations. I'm doing that. What can I do something that's good? So I did a video on YouTube called Safe in 5 Minutes, explaining safe in 5 minutes. And Dean liked it, and that's how I got to work for SAI. But I think the point of this is we are not here to have a methodological war. It's not our way. We've never been about that, and it'll never be about that. I was in a conference a few years back, Agile something, and one of the Agile conferences, and somebody came over and said, why is safe better than less? And I said, I've never done less. I don't know. I can tell you why safe is good. I can show you the case studies, but I don't know how to say why safe is better than less. I don't like being part of those conversations. They never leave anywhere good. I can find, I'm a methodologist. That means I can find a lot of clever reason to explain to somebody why he's wrong. But honestly, it doesn't matter. Do whatever works for your company. Do safe if it's successful for you. And then focus, again, not on doing safe, but on being successful and getting the results you need. How would I answer a detractor? Did you try it? It didn't work for you? Okay. You didn't try it? Try it. Go talk to people who've tried it. But I don't like answering those things because they're just meaningless. They're just fighting with words. People who like arguing, I go out there and I do another implementation of safe. So that's just me.
Maybe one last question. During all day, you said well, safe is not the goal. The goal is to achieve value, and I really think it's a wonderful thing. But for most people, or for a lot of people, and some detractors, they say safe is a bit too theoric.
A bit too?
Not the theoric.
Theoretical?
Theoretical.
Okay.
Sorry. What would you say to them?
Again, I wouldn't say anything to them, but if I have somebody who's doing safe and they're saying to me they're theoretical, I'll show them all the practices, the detailed agenda about how to do PI planning. And if there's something that's still theoretical for them, I'll sit with them and help them make it practical. I think we have tons of practical safe. If anything, I've heard people say that there are too many, it's too detailed and too prescriptive, which I don't know is necessarily a bad thing. But theoretical, the proof is always, there's a saying in English, the proof is in the pudding. I can show you all the case studies of success in safe, and I'm sure somebody else can show me case studies of places where safe has failed. If it was just theoretical, nobody would be successful with it. It can't be a theory with so many people using it and so many people successful with it. Does it mean that there's nothing about it that's theoretical? Maybe there is. And that just means these are things that we're evolving. For example, right now, I think we have a lot of good principles around flow, but we're not specific enough about what can people do about flow. So we're adding flow to the next version. we were very specific about doing the assessment, but not very specific about providing guidance on how do we grow once we measure. So we're adding that to SAFE. I think that's part of our evolution. We're listening to the market. We're always talking to our customers and our partners, asking what's working, what's not working, how can we make SAFE better in the next version? Is it perfect? No. 100% sure it's not. And that's why we keep evolving it. But is it only theoretical? Probably not, because people are doing it. So.
Okay. I don't know if there are some questions in the audience. Do you want to ask Inbar, maybe?
In the 5.0 version of SAFE, you introduced the book from Nick Kasten, Project to Product, and I really like it. In 5.1, you introduced team topologies, and I really loved it. Which book should I read during my summer days for the next version of SAFE?
Wow. So I think we're still having to do some double down. So Mick Kirsten from project to product, I think there's a lot more to learn from his flow framework. There's a lot more to go deep into this, which is some of the things we're going to use to go deep. I don't know that I have necessarily the best new read for you around that. I always recommend going back actually to the basics. So Cotter, I just recommended Our Iceberg is Melting today. It's Reinertsen, which is super hard but super good. Into the Crisis. So a lot of the time we still have what to learn from things that have actually in theory already came before. I don't think we've harnessed them enough. I would encourage you to read those rather than necessarily jump to something else. Our ship, what's the name of the book? The Marquet book. Our ship. I forgot the name. David Marquet. We had a video of him. Turn the ship around. Turn the ship around. That's a great one on leadership. I don't have a great one for you that's completely new. Not yet. Sorry.
Thanks.
Any other question? No? Well, I don't know if you have any last words that you want to share with us.
I think I said my point around this. I think SAFE is a great tool. I use it all the time, but it's just a tool. I want to again reiterate. Focus on how do you get your customers and your companies to business agility. Focus on leadership. I talked a lot about leadership. I think this is an untapped potential still. There's a lot of people who are struggling. And again, we like to focus on, if only our leaders were better. But again, respect for people. People are struggling. We're moving to agility. They're not sure what the role is. Coaching leaders, helping them through this transition, helping them being very concrete about what the role is, I think is crucial. Trying to understand how can we be better coaches, how can we be better guides to the implementation we guide. And then we evolve SAFE by learning from the field. So if you're writing case studies, if you're coming to talk at a SAFE summit, if you're writing an advanced topic article, if you're writing a blog, if you're letting us know something, we grow. That's how we grow SAFE. If there's something you think isn't working with SAFE and you keep it to yourself, it won't evolve SAFE. It won't make anybody's life better. If there's something you don't like, let us know. Come speak about it, write a blog about it, send it to us, come speak at a SAFE summit about it. Of course, we're happy that you come talk about something good, but even something that isn't working, we're all growing from that. So share your successes and your failures with the community. That's the only way I think the entire field of Agile grows, by us learning from each other and growing this way. So that would be my kind of final words. Share what you know with the rest of the community. We like to invite me or other experts to speak, but there are a lot more people who actually know a lot more than they think they do. There's a term in Japanese called shoshin. It's beginner's mind. And a lot of the time, people who are newer have a lot of better ideas than what somebody else has. The saying goes, in the beginner's mind, there's a lot of opportunities. In the experts, there are none. So everybody who's here is doing Agile in different levels and different things. And I think I got to SAI because I created a movie on YouTube just because that's what I wanted to do. And I think everybody here can contribute a lot to the environment and to the community by sharing what you know, successes or failures. And so that would be my final word and my final ask. Share what you know with the rest of the community.
Well, again, thank you a lot, Inbar, for coming with us today. Thanks. I want to thank most of the people here, the people that helped organize the event, also the people that are connected online. I don't know if there are some questions about online, but maybe if you want to have a last word, Jean-Loup.
Merci. Effectivement, je vais prendre les 2-3 dernières minutes de votre temps. Déjà pour vous remercier toutes et tous, hein, vous qui êtes là et vous qui êtes aussi en ligne. On a partagé énormément de choses. Je crois que je l'ai dit à plusieurs personnes aujourd'hui, j'ai l'impression que je revis mon mariage, c'est-à-dire des semaines et des mois de préparation vraiment intense et la journée qui passe en un clin d'œil, on n'a rien vu et on n'a rien mangé. Voilà, c'était exactement ça. En tout cas, ce fut vraiment un réel plaisir que de vous avoir ici. Je voulais aussi en profiter pour remercier notre équipe de com qui nous accompagne depuis aujourd'hui plusieurs mois et qui a installé toute une logistique incroyable qui nous a permis aussi de finir dans les temps, ce qui est top. On a eu de multiples on va dire, rappels pour pouvoir être à l'heure. Donc, je pense qu'on peut les applaudir très très fort. On peut aussi applaudir très fort tous nos speakers. Voilà, alors je ne vais pas tous les nommer, mais je pense pouvoir dire qu'on a eu un niveau extrêmement élevé sur tout ce qu'on a pu voir aujourd'hui. Et je voulais les remercier tout particulièrement à la fois pour leur préparation et pour toutes ces présentations qui ont vraiment été top. Donc je pense encore une fois qu'on peut les applaudir très très fort. Et enfin, je veux finir par remercier la Guilde d'Agilité hein, qui promeut ce genre d'événement et qui nous permet de pouvoir organiser tout ça avec Mathieu qui est là, qui est notre leader sur cette guilde. Je veux aussi remercier Zion hein, qui a contribué avec moi sur l'organisation de cette journée. Et on peut les applaudir aussi, allez-y, voilà, tant qu'on y est. Et du coup, pour nous, en fait, on va vous dire que ce n'est pas un au revoir. Voilà, on se revoit bientôt. On va essayer de se revoir d'ici à début d'année 2023. Donc, restez connectés, regardez bien les communications et je vous dis à bientôt. Merci beaucoup.